Yeah, that's one of them things. And like at 19, I understand putting people on probation. You shouldn't be able to do whatever you want to do. Da da da.
Absolutely.
But you really shouldn't be able to just stick a 19-year-old in jail for drinking or smoking or something like that. I don't get me wrong, they're wrong. Yes, I'm not saying that they're in the right.
I know it was
but
wild.
Putting these people in jail back in there with the hardcore criminals. These people are on probation for nothing, and you're putting in there with criminals, real criminals, rapists and murderers.
My first time in county. Now bear in mind, like, the county jail isn't that bad. They do have all the federal inmates for Dauphin County, but like, my first time in there, I was 18 years old, and I was a fat little thing, and I was like, I didn't know anything about what was going on, and I get in there, and the cops the whole way there just assholes. Like, it's just the whole time they're just like, oh, like, you're going in here, you never been there, you ain't sleep at night, all this. I don't know anything about jail. Like, that's scary, dude. You never been in before. You have no idea what's going to happen. And then you get there, and everybody's just loud and boisterous, and, like, everybody wants to test you. And, like, I don't know anything about jail etiquette, how to live there, anything, as I've just gotten there. And, like, that was a huge thing for me. Like, I'm locked in a cell, and I'm looking at phones on a phone bank on the wall, and I had no idea you can make a phone call from prison, like, just from the block.
Well, let me ask you this. So your first time you're in jail, what did you actually get into the state prison for?
My first time in the state prison system, the charge that I got 5 years probation for, I completed 4 years and 9 months of, and then I lost my job, and my PO was going to violate me, so I absconded for 2 months and found work. And when they arrested me 1 month before I would have been done with the 5 years probation, they filed a Gag 9-2 petition and sentenced me to 1.5 to 3 years on that same charge from 6.5 years prior.
How do you feel about that? As someone that's never committed a crime, as someone that's came and served their country, and obviously you want the best for everybody. Not only everybody has their own personal agendas, blah, 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 but how do you feel about that? The fact that he was resentenced on something that he had already served 4 years of probation on, 4 years and 9 months of probation on. He was almost in three months left, and they went back and took all of that time back and resentenced him and put him in state prison with killers and gorillas, you know what I mean? Rapists and murderers and people that actually not deserve to be in the incarceration that we have, because our system is ridiculous. The fact that we have privatized jails in Pennsylvania that make money off of people being in prison is horrible. It's not right, because at the end of the day, you're just putting people in boxes. But I got off in my subject. How do you feel about that?
I believe it's 100% wrong. I noticed the same kind of shit whenever. When I was in the Army, we had military police, of course. These motherfuckers would fucking pull you over for going 1 over the speed limit because they were that goddamn bored, and they loved to fucking whip their dicks out. Their metaphorical dicks.
No, I think that's most people in positions of power, like police officers, even some security guards. You see, it's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, just because a guy wears a clown uniform don't mean he's fucking funny.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. As soon as you get a sense of power, it's human nature to abuse it. Like, we can hide behind that, but realistically, if you have it, you're going to want to take advantage of it.
They showed that a long time ago. Have you ever seen the Harvard experiments?
Yeah.
The movie they made about
Stanford.
that? The Stanford experiments. My bad. The Stanford experiments.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, and it just shows you, like, how quick power goes to people's heads. The farther you let people take it, they're going to take it there. It's not good.
That all actually roots back to that old classroom experiment where some kids were given a star and other kids weren't, and people who had the stars were they were the superior ones, and the ones without were not.
Yeah. All right, so Tony, we'll get back to you here now. When you got into the state prison system, this is something I want to know from my own personal. When your first cellmate, can you remember what his charges were?
He had actually been... So when I got in there, I was told by him that he had a DUI, and he was doing 2 to 4 years for his second DUI charge. I was an older gentleman. He was about 56, 57 years old. And when you get to the state prison system, you go to R block, which is classification, where they do all your testing, your blood work, all of that, and then afterward, all the inmates are sort of different blocks.
In Pennsylvania, at least.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you're only really essentially on R block anywhere from 3 to sometimes 3 days to a month. Like, it shouldn't be that long, but so after I'd gotten out there and moved to B block, I found out like a month later that he was sent to the infirmary because he was actually there doing 2 to 4 years for like 4 counts of sexual abuse against a minor under 12 years old. So like, and as I'd found that out, before I'd actually found that out, my first day on B block, I got to B block, so when I moved there, it's the old side. It's really, really old cells. Open gate, there's no air conditioning, insanely hot. Was there in July. And I was on the top tier. There's 2 tiers for the block. And I was on the top here. And that side on the bottom, they pass out your status sheets as mail saying like what your charges are. And a man that had obviously been there for a couple of days already to get his back got it, and his cellie found out that he had charges for abusing a minor sexually, and had called out to the guards like, yo, you gotta get me the fuck out of here, I'm gonna kill him. And like, you hear about this all the time. That's a real thing. Like, they told him, and the guards were like, well, do what you gotta do. 12:30 comes, they shut the lights off, they do count, there's no CO doing around for 45 minutes. As soon as they were out and they finished, I lay down to read a book, and you could hear like clap, skin on skin, so I knew that I was grab him. And I stood up, and my bunkie up top, Tom, was like, yo, they're down there fighting. And it really was, a man literally beat dude to death. Like, had grabbed him on the top of his shirt and kept feeding punches in his face, and when he fell, he was booting him in the face with state-issued boots. And had just literally made his face in a hamburger, and then sat down and smoked a cigarette, and when the CO came by, they just were like, oh. An hour and a half later, they took him to the bucket.
Now, granted, I feel no remorse for the person that it happened
absolutely
to.
None.
Not at all. Because, I mean, honestly, those are one of the few people our legal system is not hard enough on. It blows my mind. It's ridiculous.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. What if that dude actually was innocent, though? And he was just there under, like, I'm not saying that, like, all...
At this point, man, I don't think that I can't have that conversation because I don't know. What if? But the chances are he probably wasn't. And I'm not saying our legal system's 100% because it's very, very, very far from 100%. But when it comes to kitty touchers and stuff, I don't see us seeing something that people were just like, oh, yeah, he did this. Because, like, don't get me wrong, occasionally women do that to men, like false rape accusations.
Yeah.
But honestly, how often is it
also, as
false
you spend time,
accusation? It's 1 in 100. It's still 1 in 100.
Yeah,
one of those 100 is probably false.
I'm not saying whatsoever that I believe that every guy is innocent.
And then, but like, you're not wrong. At the end of the day, having all of these people for all of these different levels of crime in the same jails, and the crazy part is they have level systems for their jails. Like, they have level 2s, 4s, 5, all that good stuff, and none of that shit matters. None of that shit matters. They stick 18-year-old kids with fucking resentencing charges in the same fucking blocks as murderers and real fucking gang people. You can have a cellmate
who's 18 years old, never going home, and you could be there with 6 months still parole, and you essentially have to hide that because if he finds out you're going home, he's never going home. He's mad at the world.
Oh, it's constant frustration.
Yeah,
you're going home in 6 months? Yeah. I'm never going to see my family again. I don't even get letters. People forgot about him as a human being. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That's why it gets so out of pocket. People don't think about that. Like, there's an entire, like, you know from experience, there's an entire prison that's dedicated to juveniles or those that are like 18 to like 19 or 21 years old.
Absolutely.
And it's one of the most violent prisons.
Oh, it's horrible. They call them gladiator schools.
Yeah, that's gladiator camp because you're sending a bunch of young children that are doing like 20, 25 years up there, and they're sent away from their families. So they live out in Philly. They're in Pine Grove. That's not...
Even if it's just 20, 25 years. When you give someone 16... It doesn't have to be that long. When you give an 18-year-old 18 years, that's life to them. That is their entire life so far. So what's it matter? Exactly. What's it matter? I might not make it double what I am right now, so I might as well go stab this guy in the face. He was looking at me funny. He took too long on the phone. Anything.
And when you have that much testosterone from people that are raging with hormones in one place and they're already frustrated like that, if one thing pops off, another's going to pop off. And parole, you might have 25 years till you see parole. If you kill somebody or you stab somebody or you fight somebody in those first 10 years, you could be a saint for the next 15. Parole's not necessarily going to look at that. So you have a 10-year window where you could just do things that you physically could never do outside of prison.
And the crazy part is you hear about that as soon as you get into jail. As soon as you get into jail, it's, listen, man, you got, how long you got? Oh, you got 10 years? Man, the first 8 years, parole ain't even going to look at it.
Rocking out.
They're not even going to look at you because they know people are going to be frustrated. You got that long in a metal box? It's ridiculous, man.
Absolutely.